People of the internet, welcome back to the Voltatilis channel. You know, our last two reviews, the seriously flawed binary domain and the seriously good Warframe, prove that merely having the same level of technology does not instantly make games equal. So for this week, let's go a bit more retro. A good example of retro in my library would be BiT Evolution, I think. BiT Evolution was developed by Major Games, for whom this is their first title. The game was uploaded on the 9th of June 2015, claiming status as a platformer inspired by titles of the 70s through 90s. Steam marks the game as mostly positive, though the review account leaves much to be desired. It has escaped the vigilant eyes of Metacritic, and no awards grace it. So either this game is really bad, or it somehow slipped under the radar for everyone who ever did anything. The game only supports English, which is immensely unfortunate, and unfortunately for Linux users, BiT Evolution is only available on Windows and Mac OS X. On Windows it requires 1.2 GHz in terms of its CPU, 512 MB of RAM, and 100 MB of storage space. On Mac OS X, however, it instead requires 2.4 GHz of CPU power, 1 GB of RAM, and 100 MB of space. So for those who indulge in Apple tech, you should be wary of this distinction. The story is quite entertaining, though short. The ball from Pong escapes the game and travels onward through gaming history towards the present. Our avatar is the aforementioned ball, who is referred to as BiT, hence the name of the game. BiT is a very standard silent player avatar. He displays emotions in the cutscenes, but never speaks, allowing us to fill in the blanks. Each era of gaming history has its own character who is representative of the characters of that era. Additionally, there is a character called Hex, who represents the progression of hex code. But she is quite mysterious and we know little of her, aside from the fact that she is trapped in the code, but has made peace with this. The game is a fairly simple platformer. Running, jumping, utilising the environment, you get the gist. Get to the end of the level to pass it. Simple stuff. The HUD, if you can call it that, features the number of pixels you have collected thus far, which I will get back to later. There are power-ups that, again, are representative of the sort found in that era of gaming. The game's difficulty curve is not the best at times, but it's perfectly manageable. The game does have one unique mechanic that makes it all the more enjoyable. Its death mechanic. When BiT dies, he is instead transported to the code world, where everything behind the scenes goes on. If he dies here, he is returned to the start of the level or last checkpoint, but there are portals here back to the rendered world. This, as you can imagine, opens up the doors for plenty of puzzles and boss battles based around this ability, such as the coding world having a shorter but more dangerous path through an area, giving the player lots of ways to complete the game. The game's progression, however, is quite lackluster, each level holding pixels, which I mentioned earlier, which have no reward for collecting aside from one of the achievements with Steam, but that's about it. As said many times previously, each world features a different design based on a different era of gaming history. The first world is based on the 8-bit era, for example. Each new world not only changes said world, but also changes BiT themselves as they are adapted to each new platform, which is awesome, as this is historically what happens to characters who cross platforms. The music, despite being in an 8-bit style, is somewhat catchy. It fits like a glove. The atmosphere of this game is all fun and games, very sort of Mario-esque. As Steam said, this game is honestly debatable. I personally very much enjoyed myself, but I acknowledge that this is a niche title. If you really like platformers and humour-driven titles, then check it out, you can have a great time. Otherwise, maybe avoid this one. Additionally, you should be aware that there have been error reports. I have not suffered any of this, but the internet says that they do happen. Anyway, I personally would say that this is a good game, but I acknowledge that not everyone would agree with me. Alright, so first, thank you for watching. Please remember that you can use my email in the description below to send me things, and if I use them I will credit you in this section aloud. Additionally, remember that I have a blog that I put my video transcripts into, so if you'd like to see my reviews in a different form, or know someone who can only enjoy it in that form, check that out in the description too. I'd like to ask you guys to jump on the subscribe button. Feel free to explore the like button and use that comment section. If you dislike the video, well, there's a button for that, but please follow that up with some constructive criticism in the comments. This is Voltatilis, and I'll see you next week for the next review.